Hello, my name is Doug from the Digital Dojo. I love Dungeons and Dragons, I'm sure you do too, and I also love Notion. So what I've done is I have built a very comprehensive Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master space, and contained within that is I've got the complete player's handbook list of spells, broken down by class, by type of spell, all the different things that you would expect to see in the player's handbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen now. And I'm now over in the Master 5e spell list. Because this is in Notion, this is completely customizable, this is editable. You can add, remove, whatever is relevant to you. But what's cool is that because it is in Notion, you can very quickly on the fly add new spells. So I'm going to show you an example spell here called Acid Splash. And I can start to see kind of the usual bits and pieces that comprise of a spell. I can see if it has an attack or saving throw. I can see what book it is from. And for the book as well, I can also see the precise page reference. So quite handy if you just want to hop in and have a look. I can see the casting time. So how long does the spell take to cast? I can see the classes as well. So I put together all of the classes from the player's handbook, so I can very quickly identify and select which class aligns to this particular spell. And because it is Notion, if I did want to make a homebrew spell, I could very easily add a class in as well. Any components, perhaps it's a spell that requires some materials and some components to cast, I could add them in there. Is it concentration? Does your class, your character need to make extra special care that they don't get attacked when they cast this? What type of damage is it? So I've got a list of all of the core, I've got see details there as well. I've got all of the major damage types that you'll find in the player's handbook for D&D 5th edition. What is the actual damage or healing or criteria that this spell produces? We can see there. What is the duration? So obviously it's a casting time of 1 second, so it's going to be pretty much instantaneous, but perhaps it's a spell that lasts a particular period of time. Perhaps, say for example, it's a hex curse and that lasts maybe an hour or so. I could put there an hour. And as I go further, I can see the level. So because we're in Notion, we can add filtering. I can start to filter the spells by particular level as well. So perhaps I want to create a really, really high level character, and I want to ensure that I empower them with some of the best spells. So I could create a filter and just say all spells that are level 10, for example. I can see that there, level 10 or higher. Range, obviously crucial for those combat scenarios. And again, I've given you some color-coded criteria for those ranges, those distances. And then also the kind of the spell components. Is it a ritual? Is it VSM, visual somatic materials? I can never quite remember what M stands for. And School of Magic as well. One of the common things is, as a DM, maybe someone can detect magic, or that they can sense the aura of magic, and they can determine what school of magic something is. Well, now we can see very, very quickly what kind of magic they are detecting. So I'm a DM, and someone is casting a spell that is going to detect the type of magical aura. So maybe I'll just type in conjuration. I'll do a quick filter, or I could just scan as well. Maybe I know what the spell is. So the spell is, I don't know, scrying? Fairy. I can never spell fire. We got, okay. Lots here. I really want a simple spell. So light, for example, is an evocation spell. So I know that that's the school of magic that they can see. What I was trying to find was fairy. I can never spell fairy fire. There we are. Fairy fire is an evocation spell. So I can see, okay, I know that the players are experiencing the effects of this spell. Someone's trying to detect what kind of spell it is, or the school of magic that it is. I can find that very quickly by just searching for the name of the spell. But then what I've also got is, because this is part of a larger piece, part of the whole Dungeon Master DM pack, is I've also got in here some linked criteria that links it to the what I call the character Codex, which is a complete database of all NPC and player characters. And so what I could do is I can come into here and I can type in the name of a character for that spell. And if I happen to open that particular character sheet, I could see what spell they have. For some reason I can't see that, so I'll look into that. And let's just make sure that's in there. Edit property. Bosh. There we go. Spell list. Let's just make sure that's updated. Let's go back over to Victor. There we are. There's his spell list. So if I wanted to, I could create a new filter. So I've already got one here for Big Knob, the character. One of the characters. I created a homebrew spell called Ale Asphyxiation. And so I can now see all of the spells that are just linked to Big Knob Wee Whiz the Third. And I can click in here, and if I wanted to, I could add some context to the spell, maybe give it some backstory as well. So I can see that Big Knob has access to Ale Asphyxiation. This was, in my mind, basically a suffocating spell that would basically drown the person from the inside out. So that's a really fun, positive spell that was tied to a faction that we just made. But we can see that because I have connected this to the character Big Knob Wee Whiz, I can filter that and see that the spell is connected to that character. So going back, this is fully customizable. You can tweak this, you can add your own spells. And if you wanted to add a new spell, you could just click new and a little window will pop up and you can start adding a new spell. Fantastic, very easy to do, very, very straightforward. As I say, this is easy to access, and it is part of the wider Dungeons & Dragons DM pack. Just a quick story on that. This is something I made because I love Notion to allow me to keep track of sessions, NPCs, and to track campaigns as well. So if you are interested in this and getting access to the spell list, there'll be a link in the description below. And if you have any questions and you want to learn more about Notion and Dungeons & Dragons combined into the Master Notion interface, feel free to reach out to me in the comments section below, or you can email me doug@dougdigital.co.uk. I've been Doug. I hope you've enjoyed this introductory video to the Notion spell list, and I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ra.